Guys, I've made a huge update. If you remember, I had 30 stocks on my list. Now it's 33 stocks. So I've added 3 stocks to my list of stocks I want to own forever. Here's a reminder of the 30 companies that I have on my original list. And they include Microsoft, Google, Meta, Berkshire Hathaway, Apple, Visa, Home Depot, Adobe, Disney, Ferrari, Nike. These are major companies that I want to own for the long run. So let's get right into the first one. First off, Johnson & Johnson. Now, the reason I like Johnson & Johnson, guys, is right here at the bottom. We sit here and talk on our software. The drug and device group represent close to 80% of sales. I have not been a big fan of drug companies, but this one also has a big consumer section, right? And that's what I like. You go to your bathroom, you look at a lot of the shampoos, the conditioners, they have a lot of those. Devices are a lot better revenue generator to me than pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals have the issue of expiring trademarks, expiring patents, who you're getting in the pipeline, etc. That's always so hard for me to gauge. Some other things I like about this. Look at this. 5-year return on invested capital, 13.5% and growing. Another big thing. Now, apart from last year, their free cash flow is pretty consistent with their 5-year net income. So I'm looking at saying, okay, I don't have to worry when I look at net income, is their free cash flow significantly lower? Yes, last year it was, but there was probably some reason for that. And for that reason, I'm not as worried about it. Low PE because of last year's profit. Now, for those of you who love dividends, it's the only part of the company that I'm not a huge fan of. So I got to properly account for that when I'm running my stock analyzer tool. They pay massive dividend. $11.9 billion of their $18.8 billion of the last 5 years has been a dividends. For those of you who love dividends, that is 3%. That is a 3% dividend yield, okay? I know people love that. But you have to remember, in my opinion, dividends are the last thing a company should use with their cash flow. If this company feels they're underpriced, they should be buying back shares. It's currently selling for 21 times its 5-year free cash flow. Not cheap, not expensive, could be justifiable because of how broad-based their revenue is. Let's go check out their revenue. Oh, by the way, really quick, 66% gross margin. Every item they sell, 66, that's software kind of gross margins. That's huge. Let's see their income statement. Very consistent. 74, 70, 71, 74, 81, 82, 81, 91, 92, 106. Big key here is, let's go look at their acquisitions to see how much of it was through acquisitions. So we go to the cash flow statement, go to the investing section, acquisitions. All right, guys, a lot of growth from acquisitions. 2 billion, 5 billion, 35 billion, 1.4, 5.6, 1.2, 6.3, 17 billion. So even though I'm adding this company to the list, I'm really going to have a cheap price because it seems like they're growing from acquisitions and they pay that dividend. But my reason for having companies on my list is also about, are these companies going away? The companies on my list, I don't feel are going away anytime soon. And that's what I want to focus on. I'm okay making less of a return, but having a more stable business. Okay. I think I would be absolutely floored if Johnson & Johnson was gone in 10 or 20 years. Company number 2, Proctor and Gamble. Similar, but more consumer-based than Johnson & Johnson. Okay. So Procter and Gamble, guys, one of the world's largest consumer product manufacturers. Little tidbit, Steve Ballmer, the former CEO of Microsoft, made his start at Procter and Gamble before Microsoft, Bill Gates, pulled him away to join Microsoft. They generate more than $80 billion in annual sales. 20 of their brands generate over $1 billion of sales each. I actually like Procter and Gamble as a company more than Johnson & Johnson. Let's go check out some of their attributes. Again, a good return on invested capital. This says they get a good return on the money invested in the business and it's growing. It shows that they're a company that has a decent moat. You look at their free cash flow last year, $16 billion. Net income last year, $14.8. 5-year average free cash flow, $14.3 billion. 5-year average net income, $12.4. So their free cash flow is greater than their net income. I absolutely love that. And again, they pay a dividend, 2.4%. Eats up $9 billion of their $14.3 billion average over the last 5 years. That's a big chunk. So again, I'm not a huge fan. Gross profit margin, still solid at 50%. Not Johnson & Johnson levels, but 50% is solid, guys. Higher than Apple. That's a big thing there. Higher than Apple with a bottom line of 16 to 17%. Okay, not bad. Now, Let's check out their pillars. Everything's a check except for valuations. But again, this is Johnson & Johnson. This company's going to be around for a long, long time. Maybe it's okay. Let's check out their acquisitions. So again, I go to the cash flow statement. I'm scrolling down here. Acquisitions, not as big. 700 million, a billion, 300 million, nothing, 3.9 billion, 100 million, 600. So guys, they're growing a lot more consistently internally. Okay, so I think you can see that I'm already feeling Procter and Gamble a little bit more, a little bit better than Johnson & Johnson. So let's actually do a stock analyzer tool here on Procter and Gamble. I'm actually going to pull it up from my history, but I'm going to change a couple things here. I'm going to do it based on a 9% return because I want to see what I believe this company is worth today. Market average is 9 to 10% over long periods of time, so I should be okay buying such a big, great company at 9% if I want to match the market. But of course, I'm a value investor. I want to pay a cheaper price. And don't forget, guys, this 9% includes that dividend yield. So I made some assumptions here. Low growth, 2, 3, and 4% over the next 10 years. Profit margin, 14.5, 16, 17.5. Free cash flow, 14.5, 16, 17.5, even though all their free cash flows are higher than their profit margin. Okay? Now, PE and price of free cash flow did 15, 18, 21. Guys, I actually think I'm being conservative even here. But again, I'm going to hit the analyze button. The stock's currently at 155 with no margin of safety. I have a low of 70, a high of 120, a middle price of 92. Now again, no margin of safety. That's why I have it on my watch list at 80. Seems like a low number, guys, but remember, that's why my list is long. That's why my list is growing. I have 33 companies now. I will sit patiently until stock analyzer tool, until the software sends me a message saying, Paul, Procter and Gamble hit your price. Stock number 3, guys, Hershey's. Come on. Who's taking over Hershey's anytime soon? It is a $40 billion company with $47 billion enterprise value. That difference there is debt. And for a company like this that can justify a lot of debt, they don't have a lot of it, okay? Things I like, 5-year average free cash flow is greater than their 5-year average net income. We already covered that. Look at this return on invested capital. And do I really like to say this? Hershey's. This is a chocolate company. They do a great job. I probably consume $1 million worth of their chocolate every single year, me personally. This is great. Good margins, 16 to 17% profit margin, 45% gross margin. Let's see, what else we have to go? Let's go look at their 8 pillars. Very similar to Procter and Gamble, all checks except for their valuations. Now, one thing I'll say about Hershey's, guys, if the stock falls, I really want them to stop this dividend that they pay of 2.4% that eats up half their free cash flow, buy back shares. Same with Procter and Gamble. This is not a popular decision. This is not a popular viewpoint. But if the company is cheap, the company should take their cash flow and buy back that share. That'll give you as an investor a much bigger piece of the company. That's what we want to see. All right, so let's go check out the stock analyzer tool. I'm going to pull up Hershey. I think we did a video on it recently. And I'm going to do 9% across the board. Again, hit the analyze button. And I think I was pretty conservative here as well. But look, guys, we have a low price of 110, high price of 209, mid price of 150. I have my watch list at 150, which I'm actually kind of surprised about. I should actually probably put a little bit lower, but it allows me to sell puts at a lower price. Guys, if you want to look at my original 30 list, watch this next video. Thank you very much for your time.